When you sit down to, reverse engineer a massive success, the logic is usually pretty straightforward.
Right, yeah. You look at the titans of the industry.
Exactly. Like if you want to build a better smartphone, you tear down an iPhone. If you want to design a revolutionary skyscraper, you study the engineering of the Burj Khalifa.
You study the structures that actually survived.
Yeah, exactly. What you generally do not do is pull up the blueprints of a building that famously collapsed, hand them to your team and say, hey, let's build this.
I mean, that would typically be a fast track to professional disaster. You want the blueprint of the triumph, not the rubble.
Which is exactly why today's deep dive is so mind-bending. So, welcome. It is July 29, 2026, and today we are looking back at a massive ripple in the tech landscape that really crested last year in 2025.
That was a fascinating year for tech.
It really was. And we are diving into the source code of a super app today, pulling from this really fascinating piece of source material titled How to Build a Dunzo Clone App.
Yeah, that article really caught my eye.
Same. And our mission for this deep dive with you today is to figure out how modern entrepreneurs are building these massive hyperlocal delivery empires using the absolute core DNA of a company that, well, actually went out of business.
Which is a crazy concept when you say it out loud.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can build this app, we really need to understand what we are building and the sheer paradox of modeling a brand new business on a defunct one.
So to kind of unravel that paradox, we have to rewind to 2014 to Bangalore, India, where Dunzo was born.
Right?
And for a long time, Dunzo wasn't just a player. I mean, they were the pioneer in the hyperlocal delivery space.
They were the first ones doing it at that scale.
Exactly. They were the ones who proved the concept that a user could get groceries, prescription medicines, a lost set of keys, pet supplies, and a hot meal, all delivered to their door through one single unified platform.
They were an absolute juggernaut. I mean, they were backed by heavyweights. Google poured money into them. Reliance Retail poured money into them.
Massive amounts of capital.
They were basically the golden child of the whole quick commerce boom.
They absolutely were.
Yeah.
But then comes the twist that makes our source material so compelling today. Because despite pioneering the space and despite that massive financial backing, Dunzo ceased operations completely in January of 2025.
Wait, like completely shut down?
The servers went dark, brought down by this massive cascade of prolonged financial difficulties.
Which brings us to the core mystery. Right now, as you listen to this, there is a booming global market for what the industry calls Dunzo clones.
Right.
And a clone, in this context, is a pre-built, customizable, on-demand delivery app solution. Like, you literally buy the underlying architecture that mimics Dunzo's core functions, you slap your own branding on it, and you launch your own local logistics business.
Yeah, you get the operational framework, but you retain total control over the brand, your localized business model, and, how you actually scale it.
But this brings me right back to the collapsing skyscraper thing. I mean, it feels like buying the structural blueprints to the Titanic, but deciding to build it anyway, just hoping you have better ice radar this time around.
That is a great analogy.
Right. So if the original company failed and shut its doors just over a year ago, why on earth is its business model still considered the absolute gold standard for entrepreneurs today?
Well, what's fascinating here is the fundamental shift in consumer psychology.
Hmm.
Dunzo correctly predicted the future, even if they, couldn't survive to see it mature.
Oh, I see.
Think about the friction on your smartphone just a few years ago. Users simply do not want the cognitive load of managing 5 different apps for 5 different errands anymore.
And I certainly don't. I mean, I don't want a grocery app, a separate pharmacy app, a document courier app, and a standalone food delivery app all fighting for storage space.
And sending you conflicting notifications all day.
Yes, it's so annoying.
The modern consumer expects a super app. They want one central digital hub that acts as a remote control for their entire local logistical life.
Mm.
So the demand for what Dunzo offered hasn't evaporated at all. It has actually multiplied exponentially.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, the clone model lets today's entrepreneurs utilize this brilliantly designed, highly sought-after technological playbook while stripping out the operational and financial landmines that triggered Dunzo's actual downfall.
So the architectural blueprint itself was flawless. It was the financial management of the building that caused a collapse.
Precisely.
That makes perfect sense. But that also means if we are going to build this clone and launch it in our own city, we really need to perform an autopsy on the original Dunzo. Like, we have to know exactly what those fatal mistakes were.
An autopsy is definitely the best way to approach it. The source material highlights several distinct causes of death, and the first is weak unit economics.
Okay.
Dunzo expanded really aggressively into quick commerce, the promise of delivering goods in 10 to 20 minutes.
Oh, the 15-minute grocery delivery wars.
Yeah.
Exactly that. But quick commerce notoriously operates on razor-thin margins. I mean, you aren't just paying a driver to drop off a pizza.
Right.
You are setting up dark stores, these micro warehouses, in really expensive urban real estate.
Oh, true.
You have to staff them, maintain a cold chain for perishable goods, and pay a rider for a dedicated immediate trip. And Dunzo tried to scale this model across multiple cities with heavy discounts and massive delivery subsidies before they ever figured out how to make a single individual order actually turn a profit.
Now, wait a minute. I have to punch back on this a little bit.
Sure.
Because if you look at the tech landscape over the last decade, wasn't everyone doing that? I mean, Uber, DoorDash, they all bled cash with heavy discounts just to acquire users and capture market share.
Yeah, that was the standard playbook for a long time.
Right. So is it really realistic to expect a startup to turn a profit on a 15-minute delivery of, like, a toothbrush and a pint of ice cream from day one? This raises an important question, and you're spot on to challenge it. Because in isolation, subsidizing user acquisition isn't necessarily a death sentence.
Okay.
The problem is the cascade of failures. Subsidizing that $4 order with a $5 discount becomes fatal when you combine it with the second cause of death, which is the investor trap.
Ah, this would be the Reliance Retail deal.
Yes. So in January 2022, Reliance Retail injected $200 million into Dunzo. And in exchange, they took roughly a 25.8% stake in the company.
Let me stop you there, because at face value, that sounds like a massive win. You get a $200 million war chest from one of the largest corporate backers on the planet.
Looks great on paper.
Yeah. I'm trying to see how a massive influx of cash becomes a trap.
Wait, if Reliance owns almost 26%, they aren't just a silent partner. They essentially hold a massive blocking stake on the capitalization table.
You've hit the nail on the head. We call it the cap table, the ledger of who owns what. So if I'm a fresh venture capitalist a year later and Dunzo comes to me saying they need more cash to cover all those heavy user discounts, I'm going to look at that cap table and just walk away.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to pour my money into a company where another massive corporation basically holds veto power over the board and could block a future sale or acquisition.
That is precisely what happened. The very lifeline that saved Dunzo in 2022 became the anchor that drowned them. They created an unfundable cap table.
Wow.
So when those weak unit economics finally demanded fresh capital, the broader venture market just wouldn't touch them. And this compounded their third fatal flaw, which is that they were late to the party.
Wait, how can the pioneer be late to the party?
Because they pivoted.
Yeah.
Dunzo built its original reputation on flexible pickup and drop-off services, essentially running custom errands for people.
Right, like a local courier.
Yeah, but in 2021, they pivoted hard into that ultra-fast, dark store, quick commerce space. And by the time they did, rivals like Blinkit, Zepto, and Swiggy Instamart were already deeply entrenched and scaling really aggressively.
So they entered a crowded, hyper-competitive arena late, while bleeding cash on discounts, with a cap table that prevented them from raising the money they needed to fight the war.
This is a brutal combination.
Yeah, that is a brutal combination.
And the final nail in the coffin was a massive leadership drain. Between 2023 and 2025, multiple co-founders just walked away. Eventually, the CEO stepped down.
Oh, that's bad.
When a company is pivoting and fighting a multi-front war like that, stable leadership is the glue that holds the entire operation together. Once Dunzo lost that glue, the collapse wasn't just possible, it was inevitable.
So if you're an entrepreneur looking at this space right now, your takeaway from this autopsy is crystal clear. Ensure your unit economics are profitable on a single order before you try to conquer 5 new cities.
Absolutely.
Diversify your investors so no single corporate entity holds your cap table hostage. Carve out a unique niche early rather than chasing crowded trends late. And, keep your leadership team locked in.
Master those 4 operational pillars, and the Dunzo model is a total goldmine.
Okay, so we have the business philosophy down. We know the pitfalls to avoid. Now we have to actually build the technology.
The fun part.
Right. And as it turns out, building a super app clone does not mean building one app. It is a massive 4-part digital symphony.
It's an entire ecosystem, really, operating in real time, coordinating multiple independent actors simultaneously.
I like to visualize this tech stack like a massive high-end restaurant. And the real magic isn't just that you have different rooms, it's the invisible digital ticket machine, the APIs firing data back and forth in milliseconds.
That's a really good way to think about it.
So the first piece of our digital restaurant is the user app. That's the dining room. This is where your customers sit down, look at the menu, and experience the ambiance.
And in the hyperlocal app world, that dining room has to be entirely frictionless. I mean, the user app needs smart search and filtering algorithms so the customer isn't endlessly scrolling through thousands of products.
Right, they just give up.
Exactly. It needs scheduled deliveries, instant push notifications for real-time GPS order tracking, and a highly critical feature, a one-tap, repeat past order button.
Oh man, that one feature alone is a massive behavioral driver for groceries. Like, nobody wants to manually reselect their milk, eggs, bread, and coffee beans every single Sunday.
No, it's tedious.
You tap once, and the cart is built.
And it drives predictable, recurring revenue through pure convenience.
But once that customer taps order, the system has a problem to solve. How does the local pharmacy or the grocery store actually receive that ticket?
Right.
Which brings us to the second piece, the merchant or vendor app. Sticking with our analogy, this is the kitchen.
And keep in mind, local merchants are often running a million miles an hour and might not be heavily tech-savvy.
But for sure.
So their interface has to be incredibly intuitive. We're talking about an easy store setup where they can upload a photo, set a price, and be live in minutes.
And it needs that invisible API connection to the dining room.
Yeah.
Because if the kitchen runs out of flour, the system has to instantly cross the cake off the dining room menu.
Yes. Real-time stock alerts are vital so they don't sell inventory they no longer physically have, which, causes refunds and user churn.
Oh, people hate that.
Yeah, it ruins the experience.
Yeah.
The merchant app also gives the store owner the power to instantly create their own discount codes to drive sales during their specific slow hours, which pushes the marketing effort onto the vendor rather than the platform.
Okay, so the customer ordered the food, the merchant prepared it, and now we have a physical item sitting on a counter. How do we get a human being to move that item across the city before it gets cold?
The logistics challenge.
Right. That requires a completely different algorithmic approach. Enter the third piece, the rider app, the waitstaff.
This interface is built entirely around routing efficiency and driver retention. It requires smart navigation built directly into the UI, but more importantly, it has to solve for the psychological realities of the gig worker economy.
What do you mean by that?
It requires flexible payouts.
Meaning a delivery partner shouldn't have to wait for a bi-weekly payroll cycle to buy gas for their moped.
Exactly. A great rider app allows delivery partners to withdraw their earnings to their bank or a digital wallet instantaneously right at the end of their shift.
That's huge.
It is. That kind of financial transparency and liquidity keeps your fleet motivated and loyal to your platform instead of logging off and driving for a competitor.
Which brings us to the final piece, the fourth app, or rather the dashboard, the admin panel. This is the restaurant manager sitting in the back office, looking at the monitors, crunching the operational data, and making sure the entire ecosystem doesn't just crash.
Oh, the admin panel.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the real architectural magic happens.
I always love how much you geek out over back office software.
I can't help it. It is the pure engine of scalability. Think about the granular control you have here. You don't just set a generic delivery radius. You can utilize dynamic geofencing.
Okay, what does that look like?
You can draw a highly specific polygon on the map around a busy downtown area or like a college campus, and you have complete multi-branch control. So if a local bakery chain has 5 locations, you manage their localized inventory seamlessly.
And let's talk about compliance, because the system auto-generates all the tax and billing reports, which, as anyone who has ever run a small business knows, is the exact administrative nightmare that founders absolutely despise doing manually.
It automates the drudgery.
Yep.
But beyond that, the admin panel is where you architect your unit economics. You can dynamically adjust commission rates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you dictate how much you take from a vendor versus how much you pay a rider, and you can tweak it in real time.
And we really should map out those revenue streams, because if you are relying on just a flat delivery fee to survive, you're going to end up like the original Dunzo.
Yeah, you need a diverse income.
Right. If you build this ecosystem correctly, you are monetizing the platform from multiple angles. You have the delivery fees, naturally, but you also take vendor commissions on the gross sale.
And you can implement subscription plans, offering free delivery for a monthly fee, mirroring the Amazon Prime playbook.
Which is incredibly lucrative.
Absolutely. Plus, you can charge local restaurants a premium for featured listings at the top of the search page. You can run targeted advertisements inside the app.
Oh, smart.
You can even deploy dynamic surge pricing when it starts raining in one specific zip code but not another. The most successful hyperlocal platforms combine 3 or 4 of these streams simultaneously to build a really resilient financial moat.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We've mapped out this massive 4-part digital symphony. We know the operational landmines to avoid. But if you are listening to this and thinking, okay, I see the vision, I want to launch this in my city.
The execution phase.
Exactly. The final massive hurdle is execution. How do you get a 4-app ecosystem off the ground without raising millions of dollars in venture capital?
This introduces the classic build versus buy dilemma in software engineering. And our source material breaks down the execution timelines very clearly into 3 distinct paths.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first path is the full custom build. This is where you hire an entire development agency to code everything from absolute scratch, the back-end databases, the front-end UI, writing the code to integrate the Stripe payment APIs and the Google Maps APIs.
And if you go that route, I imagine you were staring down a pretty massive cost, like anywhere from $35,000 to well over $60,000.
Legally.
And it will take you 5 to 8 months just to see a launch day. That route is really reserved for large enterprises who need deep proprietary differentiation at the code level. But what if we don't have 60 grand?
Then you look at the second path, a custom MVP, or minimum viable product.
Okay.
It's a slightly stripped-down version of a custom build designed to test the market waters. That will run you between $20,000 and $30,000, and it condenses your timeline to 3 to 4 months.
Still pretty pricey, though.
It is. It's ideal for a startup trying a very weird, unique model that requires custom logic. A template just cannot process.
But what if I only have like 5 grand in a dream? That brings us full circle to the title of our source material, the ready-made white label clone.
This is where the barrier to entry just vanishes. You purchase a pre-built software license from a company that has already coded, tested, and optimized the entire 4-app ecosystem.
Wait, really?
Yeah. It costs between $5,000 and $15,000, and this is the staggering part. You can deploy it to the app stores in 1 to 4 weeks.
1 to 4 weeks. Okay, but let me push back here.
Go for it.
If I buy a $5,000 white label clone that literally anyone else can buy, doesn't that just make me a generic copycat? Like, if the software is commoditized, how do you actually stand out in a hyper-competitive market?
It's the most important question an entrepreneur can ask, and the source text provides a brilliant case study to answer it. There's a startup called Easy Eats. They built a campus food delivery platform using a white label solution from a provider called Enatega.
So they bought the clone.
They bought the exact clone, but they didn't just slap a blue logo on it and try to battle Uber Eats across a whole city. They hyper-specialized. They tailored the entire operational platform specifically for the chaotic ecosystem of college students. They figured out the physical logistics for dorm room deliveries, getting past security desks and locked doors, by exclusively onboarding fellow students with keycard access as their delivery riders.
Oh, that is incredibly smart. They bypass the physical friction entirely.
And they solve for the financial friction of broke college students, too. They utilize the app's features to allow group ordering, so 4 roommates could order a massive late-night food run and automatically split the payment through the app's digital wallet system.
No way.
Yeah, paying the student riders and the local campus restaurants seamlessly.
Wow. So they didn't invent a new wheel. They just put a highly optimized wheel on a very specific niche vehicle.
And the market rewarded them for it. They showcased this specialized platform at the Greenlight Maine Entrepreneurship Competition, won $25,000 in funding, and systematically expanded from their home college to other universities.
That's amazing.
Easy Eats proved that the code is just a tool. The application of the technology is where the true innovation lies. By taking a generic Dunzo clone architecture and aiming it like a laser at dorm rooms, they proved that flawless execution and niche targeting matter exponentially more than writing code from scratch.
So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at everything we've unpacked today, the ultimate takeaway is incredibly empowering.
It really is.
A failed company's playbook can be an absolute goldmine, provided you have the humility and the analytical lens to learn from their operational mistakes.
Right, you learn from the rubble.
Exactly. You don't need to bleed cash on unsustainable discounts. You don't need a cap table that traps you under a corporate giant thumb. And you definitely don't need to spend $60,000 and wait 8 months to build a technological marvel.
No, not at all.
By utilizing a brilliantly architected multi-app ecosystem, and smart, highly targeted white label tech, you can launch a super app in a matter of weeks. You take the blueprint of the skyscraper, but you manage the building differently. It is a phenomenal blueprint. But, synthesizing all of this does leave me with one lingering, slightly provocative thought about the future of this digital space.
Oh, what's on your mind?
Well, we are currently watching consumer demand drive heavily toward these massive, all-in-one super apps, one single digital hub for your groceries, your hot food, your pharmacy, your couriers.
Right.
But software tends to operate in pendulums. At what point does a super app become so feature-heavy that it becomes too cluttered to use? Will the next massive tech trend, perhaps a few years from now, let's say in 2030, be the complete unbundling of these exact super apps back into beautifully simple, specialized, single-purpose services because the ecosystems just grew too heavy to navigate?
That is a fascinating thought. I mean, history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes.
Exactly.
The super app might just be a necessary phase before we crave digital simplicity all over again. Definitely something for you to chew on the next time you unlock your phone and look at your own home screen. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Keep questioning the blueprints, keep looking for the niches, and we'll see you next time.